welcome to Queens by Design. I'm Pastor Emily Tufts,
I'm Katie Owens.
and we are Queens by Design. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about nutrition. But Queens by Design is what we do. We take the Word of God and we show you how to use it practically. So our scriptures for today are 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 31. And I'm reading from the NIV version. It says, whether you eat or drink, or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. 1 Corinthians 6, chapter 19, verse 20. It says, do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies. So, as we're talking about this today, the whole point of today is not necessarily to be like, you need to do this, you need to do that. The whole point of today is going to be like, after we kind of talk, is to look in yourself, take an inventory. What is one thing you can do that you can honor God with your body? What's one thing? Is it, maybe, because I used to drink pop all the time. Maybe it's like you drink 3 or 4 cans of pop a day. Maybe it's replacing one of those cans of pop with some water. Maybe it's, hey, you love fried chicken, but maybe, replacing one of those fried chicken meals with a baked chicken. Those are like simple things we can do. But that's what we're trying to get into today. But today, we also have a special guest. Katie, you want to introduce our special guest today?
Sure. We have Miss Courtney Chester with us today, and she is the entrepreneur and owner of Life Liquids.
Cool. So we're going to get into that a little bit later. Hi, Courtney. Thank you for joining us.
Of course.
We're going to get into that a little bit later. We're going to make y'all wait a little bit. We're Life Liquids. See, we're going to make y'all wait a little bit, just a little bit. So today we'll be talking about nutrition. So, Katie, well, I know when we was talking before, I was like, okay, nutrition, okay. And the first thing she did, she thought of was Courtney. Like, okay, we gotta get Courtney on here. Like, okay, all right. But Katie, you got a big family. When I'm talking nutrition, what comes to your mind?
Grocery bill.
Grocery bill. All right. So how do you?
The main thing that comes to my mind when I think of nutrition is just the fact of trying to eat healthy, but yet staying on budget. I think that's difficult for anybody anyways. But when you have a big family, I think that it can be even more taxing because you have so many different things that you have to be concerned with and things that you have to pay attention to. And Emily, I know that you've got it even worse than me because of all the allergies that you've got.
I do.
Plus, you've got a big family, so
Yeah.
But the good thing is that all 3 of us that are on this video have large families, and we're able to kind of. I think it would be good for us to help each other and to kind of give each other some tips on even if you're trying to eat healthier and eating organic or eating vegetarian or vegan, just making sure that you're getting those things at the correct places, or you're still able to eat healthy as a big family and stay on budget.
That's a really good point, because as a big family, you have a budget. And I know people say, you got to eat healthy. And it's like, yeah, but I have a budget too. So, what are some stuff that maybe you think that people could do that even with a large family can still do, but stay in budget? What kind of something?
Well, we used to go shopping at Earth Fare and Fresh Time all the time. And I still like there. And then when Earth Fare closed, it was a big hit to us because we didn't really trust anywhere else to get chicken or beef or things like that. So it was really difficult for us. But then we started to get some of our things from local places. Sorry, I have a jungle gym call right now. But another thing that I do is I like Aldi's.
Okay.
I shop at Aldi's a lot, and I get sucked into their seasonal items many times. But I think that they have good quality. I think that it provides different options for you, but still staying at a cheaper level so that you're not busting your budget in a week.
Well, I like that because a lot of people do go to Aldi's. That is a very good place to be able to go to get something that's, maybe organic or something like that as well.
Right.
And that is a good idea. But for me, nutrition has another I have a whole another picture that comes to mind with nutrition. Just to give you a background, my family have a lot of allergies. And, before I had a family with all these allergies, I would hear people talk about, my kid has allergies and everything. And I'm like, oh, I sympathize, but I didn't really understand everything they had to go through. And when talking about nutrition, and then when I had my kids, I had especially my youngest, they had so many other allergies. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to learn how to cook all over again.
Mm-hmm.
At one time, we had 5 different milks in my house because they're lactose intolerant as well. So we had peanut, tree nut allergies. I can't have red pepper, cayenne pepper, those kind of stuff. So we have all kind of allergies going on in my family. And so when we talk about nutrition, and then you have the other hand where, to eat healthier, it's awesome. But I still struggle with it sometimes because it's not like I have arrived, but to make a meal, because I wasn't making all these meals at one, for dinner, I'm not making 3 or 4 meals. So I had to find something that was really streamlined of how I can do this. So for me, like I said, going out to the store, it was funny. The one time I was going to get a snack, I'm like, I'm going to go get the kids' snack. And an hour later, my husband's calling me and was like, are you coming back? I'm like, I'm still reading articles.
No, I'm never coming back.
I'm like, I just want to get a snack for my kids. So, needless to say, ice cream was out because there's so many stuff. And then when people change packaging, they put other stuff in it. Mm-hmm. And now some stuff my kids could eat, now they can't eat. Right now my nemesis is the coconut oil, and I know it's real good for you, but my kids can't have it. So I'm like, it's my nemesis now, because sometimes when they find one good thing, they put it in everything. They did that with soy. They did that with. So for me, I had to really be conscientious of what I'm doing. And sometimes it means I had to, finding a recipe, like a healthy recipe. Yeah, but I have to go in there and I have to individually, okay, what I got to take out, what can I put in? And it's a process. And my heart goes out to other people who have those allergies because it's not easy. I mean, making a simple thing as mashed potatoes, I had to rethink that. I'm like, okay, can't use milk, but that's an issue in this family. And so I was like, okay, I use chicken broth. So those are the things that I have had to learn how to do, and I drive myself insane. And then I kind of got a little core meals that I could go back to that are easy for me because, okay, I figure everybody can have this. So nutrition, and then that part of there's a budget. There's a budget of it. So, in a lot of stuff where I could find for them that maybe are lactose free or, peanut nut free, they cost more.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that balance of doing that of okay, because like their cheese, like, could be like $5 or $6, where, other cheese, and it's a smaller, very small quantity. Other cheese I can get for maybe $3. So it's twice as much as that. And then because I had to go to specialty stores sometimes to get it. So those are the kind of stuff that I deal with. So making one meal was like crazy. Even like when I found out they were allergic to like peanuts and tree nuts. Well, Christmas time, my husband likes these little cookies, these little I think they're snowball cookies, or they call them Mexican wedding cakes. I don't know. Anyway, they have nuts in it. Well, for me to make that for him, and this is why he gets it one time a year, and I have to clean everything that I use to make that. I have to scrub down the kitchen and everything. So when I think about nutrition, I'm like, okay, it's a really bigger subject for me because I had to struggle with those other issues of making everything good for my family, plus try to make them, healthier. And one thing I have put in was like maybe like more vegetables. Vegetables were one thing that, okay, we don't have too many allergies. We can eat the vegetables. So I put in that. It's all about finding small things like, instead of fried chicken, baked chicken. Those things for me work out for me because I do have that additional cost of getting other things that they like, but it's more expensive. So that was kind of my balance. And I know when you and I talked, Katie, you like, how did you find out they had allergies? How did they find out? Well, a lot of it was trial and error, but it was like a lot of it they were throwing it up. That was one. There were rashes, those unidentified rashes. Like, where did that come from? So for me, I went into the doctor because after a while I'm like, I don't know what my kids can eat, So I went to the doctor and that gave me a lot of information. So if people who are dealing with that, go to the doctor, get tested. And they were allergic to stuff I didn't even know they were allergic to. So I'm like, oh my gosh, like my youngest daughter, she was eating peanut butter and all this stuff. I didn't know she was allergic to. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So that was very helpful to me. That actually it alleviated my mind some because I'm like, it was like Russian roulette, blindly, hope they can eat this, And as a mom, and when you have a lot of kids, you don't want them throwing it up. It's a lot of cleanup. We don't want to do all of that.
I don't do throw up.
Exactly. And so I'm like, oh gosh, because getting them off of the formula to milk, oh my gosh, huge.
I think that another thing that we have discussed before is the menu. For me, that's one big thing that I take into consideration with nutrition, just as far as having a menu helps me to stay on plan so that I'm making meals more. Because I find that when I slack off and I don't make my menu for a month or even for a week, it's so much easier to be like, what are we having for dinner tonight? I don't know. Let's just order pizza. Mommy. Mm-hmm. So I think that that is another thing that helps with budgeting for me as well.
It does. Kind of knowing what you're going to eat, it really, really does help. Because I'm like you. If I get to that point and I haven't really thought it out, after a certain point in the day, if I haven't thought it out what I'm going to eat, then it's like, what are we ordering? And usually it's not necessarily a healthy deal, but it's just, we're hungry. Let's find something. Okay, that works. So
yeah. And I know that there used to be what were they called? They moved to California. Courtney, what was that?
I know what you're talking about. Was it like Z Roots or something?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They used to make, their food was amazing and it was healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a business that she and her husband had. They had a whole bunch of kids, but it was always healthy and it was always delicious. It was so good, but they moved.
They moved. No, I need them now.
I know.
That's what, and I so admire that. That because when you have something, and that's the thing, if it's healthy and it tastes good, I'm all in.
Yeah.
We went somewhere not too long ago and we ordered something. And my husband's like, how was it? Healthy. That's all I can say, it's healthy. And it's like, I can get used to eating it. It's not a big deal, but I'm like, yeah, it don't taste like that. It's healthy, and maybe I gotta renew my mind. But yeah, I'm all about if it tastes good. That's why I want the food to taste good. It can be healthy, but it tastes good.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I tell my kids too, is just as far as they're too loud. Oh, I mean that they have to try stuff. And I would have never, isn't it, your taste buds change every 7 years or something like that.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. But the crazy thing is that I like things now that I would have never even tried when I was a kid. And I didn't have to try stuff all like that. But before, one of the big things that I do with the kids is just the fact that I make them try stuff. And Ashe, who is the youngest, she's only a year and a half, she will chow down on some broccoli. Now it has to have ranch, but
she's like, hey, you're getting the broccoli.
But she'll eat it all day. And I'm just like, oh, okay, all right, let's get some broccoli in you then. So it's crazy what kids like and what kids are willing to eat if they just try it. And if they don't have that stigma in their mind.
Well, that's true too, because when I was growing up, I had to eat stuff. And I'm like, y'all just left out. I tell my kids, I'm like, because I used to have to have liver and beets. Liver and together. And I'm like, I would tell my mom, like, there's nothing good about that meal. Why can't we have at least one good thing? Then she started throwing in some mashed potatoes. And I was like,
did y'all at least have like cupcakes afterwards or something?
I mean, I would be at the dinner table forever. I'm like, dog, I'm going to be here all day. Because that's just one thing I wasn't going to eat. But I was like, y'all ain't got to eat all that. But I do make them try different stuff. And I was surprised. They're not as picky. Like my oldest son, he's very picky. But the other ones are not as picky. So they like a lot of variety and stuff. And I think that's a good point of introducing new things to them that are healthy for them. Because they'll pick it up. If you put a candy bar in front of their face, they'll gravitate toward that.
Oh, I'm gonna eat that.
If you put healthier versions of stuff in there, after a while they'll gravitate to that. Even like you say, your taste buds. When I noticed that, because I love eating my chocolate, but sometimes me and chocolate got to break up because it gets too much. So but I noticed that when I stopped eating it as much, or just because sometimes I have to do cold turkey, my taste buds are different because I'll try to eat something. I'm like, ooh, that's too sugary. So that makes sense to me. That you're eating.
Well, and that's another thing that I've seen Courtney do with her kids is that when I see you post videos and stuff like that on your social media stuff, your kids try everything and they like it. Like, I haven't seen one video, which you probably wouldn't post it if they didn't like it. But
well, no, Mikey doesn't like the wellness shots, but even now he's like, he'll take it without crying now. So I feel like, you know, first of all, if your kids aren't used to something, right? We're used to a certain diet, we're used to a certain lifestyle. So if they've been eating a certain way and then all of a sudden at like 7, I'm like, oh, okay, we're going to toss this out and we're going to start doing this. It's going to be a bit of an adjustment. But what I found is that you can make healthy food taste good, especially, you know, for kids. Maybe as adults, we can tolerate, you know, certain bitters. But I wouldn't give my kids, you know, a shot of dandelion juice, you know, because it's extremely bitter and they're going to be like, what the heck? But there's some stuff that you can do, you know? So that's what I've been trying to cultivate, is just how can I change their outlook on the way that they eat, so as they grow, they're not having so much of these diseases that come from our diet.
That's a really, really good point. Just training them.
Yeah, and it's so crazy how much stuff comes from your gut. Like, it's insane.
Even a lot of the allergy talk, it's all gut related.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, and it's something else. I mean, I know the other day I had my we went to Fresh Time and I had my son. I got some snap peas, and one of my sons was like, "Snap peas?" I was like, "Yeah, son, it's good." He was like, "I don't know," and then he was like, "Ooh, these are pretty good." So then we ate them, and then he was like, next week he's like, "You know, are we going back there? Because I need some more snap peas." I'm like this. I'm like,
good.
I'm like, oh, we like my stuff. Okay. So, I mean, just little stuff, you know, start off little. Like you saying, it's like you're training, you know, in our families, we're training our own selves. We're training them to eat better and to choose better. And that's definitely, you know, with the Bible, we're you know, glorifying God with our bodies in that respect.
Absolutely.
So, Courtney, tell us a little bit about your business.
So my business is called Life Liquids, and it started simply because I was on my own healing journey, and due to like the glory of social media, I was sharing kind of my journey, and a lot of people would be like, "Hey, are you selling this?" So I started off juicing, trying different herbs. And so it just kind of started as a business. My husband is a businessman, so he kind of challenged me in that way. So it started off as a juice business where I started to juice for other people, but of course it started with me. And so I really love to do it. And so I started to sell the juices, and then I got into selling sea moss gel, which is a superfood that's really good for you as well. And then I started selling elderberry syrup, and then I started doing health consultations. I got certified as a practitioner. So it just kind of all evolved, and it's still evolving. So it's kind of cool looking back, because it's going on like a year and a half that I have, you know, officially had the LLC. So it's really cool. Right now, it's very local right now, but I'm actually working towards expanding.
Now, do you have a website?
Yeah. So when I say expanding, my website is coming. So it's pretty much all done, but I created an ebook that focused on a lot of the holistic health regarding us women, or we women. And so I wanted to put that up there when I launched it. So it's actually getting designed right now, and I should be launching it really soon.
How exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I see you.
So right now, I take orders, like I said, locally. People will inbox me on social media. So Facebook and Instagram, it's Courtney TK Chester. So, you know, that's how, and they just do a porch pickup. But once the website launches, I'll actually start shipping as well.
Okay. So what's your Facebook thing again? It's Courtney.
So it's just my name, Courtney TK Chester, with my middle initials. So Courtney TK Chester.
Yep. All right. So you guys on Facebook, hey, hit her up. Especially look for that website to come up, because we want to support other believers, right? We should be supporting one another, because we love this. And so these Life Liquids. So talk me through this. So if I'm coming to you, what do people do? Did they come to you? You say you do consultations, or
Mhm.
so if I'm coming to you for a consultation, what would you do? What kind of
So
like that?
a lot of people who come for the consultations, they have a certain health element that they want to try to heal naturally. So of course, modern medicine is a blessing and it's definitely needed. However, there are some things that we can do right at home, and you'd be surprised by just making a couple of changes, the change you'll see in your body. So I just kind of walk people through how to change your kitchen into like a healing laboratory, how to change your bathroom into a hydrotherapy room, how to actually just create a space of healing in your home. And what you put in your body, just be more mindful. So you mentioned, when you go to the store due to allergies, you have to read a lot of the labels. Well, that's a huge part, because there's certain things that if you're aware of, you're going to avoid. And so that's just one of the major steps when you start to change your diet for the better, is just being aware of what is good for you and what's not. And a lot of us we've never looked at labels before, and then we're wondering like why we're having all these different elements. But like white sugar is really harmful to our body, especially as women with our reproductive system. It like literally tears it down.
Wow.
So just knowing,
which is crazy.
Yeah, knowing things like that. And now you're going to look, oh, this has sugar in it, so maybe I should try to find an alternative. And so it can be very challenging, but just, taking it one thing at a time. So a lot of the things that I recommend is like, start small. So, cow's milk, I personally feel like cow's milk is for a cow. So, we can do almond milk, or we can do oat milk or there's so many different nut milks that we can try. So you can replace your milk, figure out what your family likes best. And then you could replace your white sugar. There's date sugar, there's agave, there's different kinds that you could, even cane sugar is just no white sugar. So
cane sugar is better than white sugar?
Because it actually comes from the earth. So you don't want to overindulge, but just white sugar is really detrimental to your body.
And just even that one change.
Or stevia. Stevia is one that's also a plant. So
that's crazy. That's just that one change. But I like that you saying that reading labels. And for me, with my kids, I had to have them read them, even young. I mean, I was taking them to the store, and I remember that they're like 4 or 5, and we would point stuff. Can you eat that? No. Why? Because it could kill me. I mean, and people are like, like, whoa, they're like 4 or 5. I'm like, yeah, but that's just their life. And so my kids to this day, they'll read the labels. Even their brothers and sisters, they all of them read the labels, because they're looking out for one another. And that's one thing we say in our family, we're looking out for one another. So we'll read labels and everything else. So that's a real good one. Even if you don't have allergies, to start looking at them labels.
Yeah, it's a really good practice just to be aware of what you're putting in your body, because, if you're buying packaged food, you don't know what's in it. So.
Yeah, that's huge. So you said, do your kids like your life liquids? They're getting used to life liquids.
Yeah, they are. Like I try to, keep them involved. So like they'll help me juice, or like my daughter who is 15, she knows how to make the sea moss gel now and the elderberry syrup. So I try to keep them involved and tell them like why, we had the change. And so I still give them that autonomy when they're at school or when they're with family. They can choose what they like to eat, but at home I do have them follow my same diet, and I just tell them why. And a lot of the times they're like, well, I actually want to pack my lunch for school today, or
Wow.
I do want to eat a little healthier. And so they eat, like I let them try different erotic fruits and they get really excited. So like my middle 2 are in love with pomegranates now. So just different things. And I mean,
Good.
I have a family of 6, so it can be expensive, but I feel like it's an expense that, is a priority. So we do prioritize like our grocery list. because I don't buy a lot of the stuff that I used to buy that was so cheap. And so, you know, it's kind of messed up that, you know, that's just kind of how the system is with our food system.
Yeah.
And if you go to like a local farmer's market, a lot of times you can get it like very cheap. And so that's a way to cut. But, you know, I do prioritize our groceries.
Which I like that. I didn't really even think about that before, prioritizing our groceries. I didn't even think that's a good point. I like that. See, you learn something new every day. See, that's why we got to get together, because you learn something from each one of us. We can learn something. Prioritizing your groceries. Because how many times do we prioritize other things? We prioritize our, you know, phone bill, you know, our cell phones, or, you know, our cars, but we don't prioritize what we put in our body. And that's such a good point. I like that.
Yeah, I can't go like a day without fruit or fresh veggies. So we always, you know, have stuff here, and that's like our snacks. That's kind of replaced like our gummies and that sort of thing. So it's just really important.
Ooh, I like. No,
what kid doesn't like fruit? Most kids like fruit.
Yeah, my kids. I can't keep like fresh fruit and vegetables. I can't keep it in my house. Like they'll eat it. If it's there, they'll eat it. Matter of fact, I'm like, y'all, I gotta have some too. You know, like,
yeah, that's a problem over here too. I'm like, okay, I really got that for me, but
yeah, I'm like, here's your stuff. I'm like, leave this one for me. Your dad, we gotta have it too. Okay? So no, I like that, prioritizing. See, I'm gonna start doing that.
But you know, plan, like, you know, catch the sales when you can. Like Green, we're all in the can area, I think. But Green Farms just had like 99 cents on everything. And that was like a huge, you know, sell. Yeah. So,
and I live right out in the country. So
yeah,
I can get the stuff, you know. Yeah, but I just didn't even think about it, because sometimes sometimes we gotta renew our mind and how we get stuff. Because, you know, usually I'm like, okay, I'm getting this for the next 2 weeks. But, you know, fresh veggies and everything, you know, it might be I have to go out a little bit more often to get those fresh veggies. But
yeah, I usually we do shopping once a week and just kind of replenish that sort of stuff. Yeah.
I like that though. That's gonna be my new thing. My new thing, I think, because I find myself get the same stuff, but I want something different. But I was like, you know, the one day I was like, you know what, you keep buying the same stuff, you know, but you want different.
You saying that?
I'm gonna change up. And I even went to that's why I went to another store the other day. I'm like, okay, I gotta renew my mind. I got to get something different. And that's why in health food store, and then we start getting other stuff. But that's a lot of people are in a kind of a rut. I think we can get into a rut real quick. But I like that prioritizing, and maybe you gotta shift some money around. Yeah, shift some stuff around to prioritize, because you're only as good as your body. You know, you can only do as much as your body.
And I mean,
Courtney, I have a question for you. As far as like switching your family over or changing from different.
We lost her.
We lost her. Well, I just my question is just in regards to like how does that work, or what's the best way to try and do something like that with a big family as far as kickbacks. I know that with my family, telling that, especially me, I'm probably the worst one, but telling my family like no more cheese or no more dairy, and we do better than we used to, as far as with milk and stuff like that. We, especially the younger two, they mostly drink the almond milk. But
How do you
But
make
just
that change?
switching your kids over to something like that, or switching diets is already difficult. So what do you think would be a good recommendation for?
Well, I think like what I've done with my kids, I think too, a lot of it is if you don't buy it, they ain't eating it.
Yeah.
Uh, that's one thing. If you buy less of it, they're eating less of it. Now, I mean, and then you have these healthier alternatives. Like I know you and I have talked before. You talk about the cutting up vegetables or cutting up. If those are ready available, they'll grab it. They'll grab it for sure. But that's kind of what I've done. I think we're getting Courtney back. But that's how I've done it. Hey, you're back. Hey. But Katie was talking about how do you, I guess, change your children's diet. You know, they're
my question was just the fact that, like, for our family, I know that I have a lot of pickier eaters. Mm-hmm. So I know that, and Emily said one of the things that she did is if you don't buy it, they won't eat it. You know, they can't eat it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, what is some way that you suggest, or what is something that you would recommend to do with weaning your kids off of certain foods? Or should you do it all at once, or should you do it,
gradually, or
right?
I mean, I feel like we know our families, right? So there was a time where I tried to switch our diet very aggressively, and it didn't really work too well. So then a couple years later, I had tried it again when I got a little bit more information and felt a little bit more comfortable. And so what I think was the easiest thing was just starting simple. So again, I replaced the milk, which I had already had. Half of the house had an intolerance to milk. So I just completely switched everybody over. Started with the milk, my sugar and my flour. And then I started to introduce like fresh juices. And with kids, I don't give my kids like kale juice plain, right? But I will maybe mix some apples in with their juices. Even with my husband, the fresh juices wasn't bitter. I made sure they were kind of on the sweet side. And then with the meals, you can honestly recreate the same meals that you had before and just like spaghetti is a big one. I had to find the right type of noodle, but I did replace the noodle, and it was some trial and error, because everything that you try, even though you're like, dang, this was like a couple bucks more expensive and it's kind of gross, but it was kind of trial and error. So I was like, okay, we don't really like that brand of noodles, but this one I really do like, so I'm going to stick with this one. So whenever I'm making my pastas, and then checking the spaghetti sauce, okay, getting a sugar-free one, because they put sugar and salt and spaghetti sauce. So, and that's why shopping at some of the health food stores is so much easier to find those ones without the stuff in the labels that you don't want. So just recreating the same meals, the most basic meals, trying to recreate them, and then you can get creative. So that, I mean, and a lot of the times they don't know the difference. And then I would sneak like sea moss gel in it and different.
Is that how you use the sea moss gel? Daryl,
so yeah, the sea moss
from you before, and I was just like, I don't know
what to do with it. Yeah, so the sea moss gel, it doesn't have a taste to it, so it can be melted down or mixed down into almost anything. So I put it in all of our soups and baking mixes. I put it in the smoothies. And I started the smoothies for me, but then, the kids would be like, oh, I want a smoothie. So you can make them a very basic strawberry smoothie with some oat milk and a scoop of sea moss, and they don't even know that they're eating like a superfood smoothie.
Wow.
So just different things like that, or even like mixing the sea moss in their applesauce. My kids love applesauce. So I get like the huge Bach applesauce cups from Sam's Club, and every time they ask for one. And sometimes it can be, you know, I feel like as moms, we're like, dang, I really don't feel like going the extra mile. But when I'm, you know, I want to give them, you know, I want to give them as much health benefits as I can. So I'll like go ahead and mix it in, take the couple of minutes to mix it in their cup and sprinkle with some cinnamon, and they don't know it's in there.
That's awesome. I think too, it's what helped me because when I was doing the trying to do some healthier meals, and you know, something was like, ooh, that just didn't turn out. You know, that wasn't like on the picture. It was nasty. And so I had to get them involved. And so my kids are a little older, so I'm like, okay, yeah, it turned out nasty, but we're gonna keep on trying. And so I got them involved. I'm like, you go find some recipe, and you go find a recipe. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna try to make this healthy and how everybody can eat in this house. And that's been helpful. We're in the process, but it's been helpful of it because now they're part of the process. Mm-hmm. And now they're a part of the process. So it's like, okay. So I would tell them, I said, okay, what was like, you know, maybe like what's good about this meal? You know, okay, this part was nasty. Okay, like you said, the noodles, maybe it's the noodle. Okay, we got, like we did something with cauliflower crumbles or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't turn out great. And so I was like, okay, let's see if we can do something different with it or what have you. But I think just making them a part of it, that helps too. That helps them that's renewing their mind too. That's helping with that. And like you say, gradually. That's worked for me as well. Gradually.
Yeah, definitely. Getting them and then they have fun with it, and then they also are educated. So now they know why my mom doesn't want me eating so much unhealthy foods. You know, it's a long-term thing.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
it's more of a lifestyle than a diet.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. Yeah. You're just making, like I tell them, it's about making better choices for you. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's the word too. You know, you're making better choices based upon your information you got.
Yeah.
Just even hearing what you were saying, I'm like, okay, that's helping me out. So I appreciate that. I really do. That's the area I do struggle with that nutrition part, because I will go out and get something easy because I know they can eat that and I don't have to think about it. Mm-hmm. You know,
and I feel like as moms, you know, sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you have a day and you're like, you know what? Like with my husband, he isn't 100%. But some days when I have a lot going on, I'm like, okay, dinner's on you. And I just kind of walk out. And it's usually pizza, right? But you know, sometimes it's like that. But I feel like just those small changes even really do have like a long-term effect.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you having you on, and thank you for coming today. We are about out of time, guys. But thank you. Hey, you guys, what's your Facebook thing? One more time.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And yeah, follow me on IG or add me on Facebook at Courtney TK Chester. Okay,
remember, come on, the supporter. You know, and I know she says she's local now, but keep an eye out for that website to come out so you can get that stuff for your family. So, well, thank you guys. Thank you everybody joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Peace.